someone came up from behind the house, and with a ski mask on and gunned them down.
JayDaYoungan was ambushed and killed by masked gunmen. For almost 2 years, nobody knew who pulled the trigger until now. His killer's been caught, convicted, and hit with a major sentence, and you won't believe who it is. Let's break it down. When keeping it 100 goes wrong, the streets don't love nobody back. July 27, 2022, around 6 p.m. in Bogalusa, Louisiana. That's when the call came in about shots read on Superior Avenue. When the police rolled up, they found a scene straight out of a nightmare. JayDaYoungan, real name Javorius Scott, was laid out with at least 8 bullets in him, gay-aiding for his life. His pops, Kenyatta Scott Sr., was also hit, but thank God he survived. The young king who had just reached the top of the rap game was about to lose everything to the same streets that gave him his story. According to what his father told TMZ, JayDaYoungan got caught slipping by VE masked-up shooters who hopped out a black truck while he was just chilling on his front porch. This wasn't no random lick or no robbery gone bad. This was a straight-up execution, planned out and carried out like some military-type operation. They came from multiple angles, had the whole block surrounded, and made sure there wasn't no way for him to escape. His grandfather, L.C. Jearson, painted an even more chilling picture when he talked to the local news about what he heard went down.
Someone came up from behind the house, and with a ski mask on and gunned them down in broad open daylight on a public road, a road that's a busy road. So people have gotten so bold of doing things today because they know or they feel like they won't be caught.
That's some cold-blooded shit right there. Real talk. Whoever did this wasn't just trying to send a message to JayDaYoungan. They were sending a message to everybody in the hood that nobody's untouchable, no matter how much money you got or how famous you become. The confusion around how many shooters were actually involved just shows how chaotic and violent this whole situation was. While his pop said it was V-deep, the police been saying it might have been just one shooter, which don't even make sense when you look at the evidence. Either way, somebody wanted JayDaYoungan dead so bad, they was willing to risk everything to make it happen in broad daylight on a busy street. But yo, let's back up and talk about who JayDaYoungan really was, because this story ain't just about how he died, it's about how he lived, and why he couldn't escape the very lifestyle that made his music so real. Born Javorius Tyke Scott on July 15, 1998 in Bogalusa, Louisiana, Shorty came up in the trenches but had that natural talent that can't be taught. His 2019 single, 23 Island, went double platinum and reached number 9 on the charts, pulling in over 180 million streams on Spotify. His debut album, Misunderstood, hit number 43 on the Billboard 200, proving that he wasn't just some street rapper with a mixtape. He was the real deal with industry respect and mainstream appeal. This wasn't no industry plant or no fake street nigga trying to rap about a life he never lived. JayDaYoungan was authentic to his core, and that authenticity is what made his music so powerful, but it's also what got him killed. He never tried to front like he was something he wasn't, never tried to clean up his image for mainstream success, and never backed down from the beefs and conics that came with his lifestyle. In interviews, Shorty was always keeping it 100 about the dangers he was facing and the choices he was making. When asked about his own mortality, his response was chilling in how matter-of-fact it was.
Well, you said that you feel like your time could be any minute. Well, what does that mean?
My time could be in a minute, meaning by I could put myself in a position where I could be locked up or my brain could be blowed out.
That's not rap lyrics or tough talk. That's a young brother who understood the game he was playing and the stakes involved. At 19 years old, he was already thinking about death like it was just another day at the OCE. When they asked him about his lifestyle and whether he was being real in his music, his response showed just how deep he was in the streets.
And for the people out there that's questioning my lifestyle and how I live and what I rap about is true, and if I ever lied, look at me right now. I never lie. Everything I say gonna be the truth. Everything I said, I either seen it, I done did it, or I know about it.
This commitment to keeping it real, to never switching up or going Hollywood, is what separated JayDaYoungan from a lot of these other rappers. But in the hood, keeping it real can get you killed, and staying authentic to your roots can put a target on your back that money and fame can't protect you from. The young king was also dealing with substance abuse issues that he was surprisingly open about. When they asked him about lean and the death of Fredo Santana, his honesty was both refreshing and scary.
When I heard about it, I mean, I was a fan of Fredo, like, and Keith them, so it f***ed up on the cool, like, if I ain't gonna say I knew him, but me being a fan of him and they movement kind of f***ed me up, and it made me think about it. Should I really slow down, or Honestly, I feel like I'm not gonna stop.
Here's a 19-year-old kid with everything to live for, admitting that he knows the drugs could kill him, but feeling like he can't stop. When they pressed him about whether he was addicted, his response showed just how deep he was in his feelings.
I feel like it's not that easy. I'm not saying I'm addicted to it, but I just feel like I ain't gonna stop.
Okay, you're not addicted to it. How long have you been taking it now?
I just started lean not too long ago.
This vulnerability, this raw honesty about his struggles, made JayDaYoungan's music hit different than a lot of these other artists. He wasn't just rapping about the lifestyle. He was living it, documenting it, and paying the price for it in real time. But JayDaYoungan's rise to fame came with all the problems that Biggie warned us about. Mo money, mo problems. As his career started taking O, he began losing friends over jealousy, had family members change up on him, and found himself dealing with haters from his own city. The very people who used to support him when he was just another young brother from the hood started switching up when he made it big. This is that crabs in a barrel mentality that Boozy always talked about. When one of your own starts winning, instead of celebrating their success, start plotting on how to bring them down. JayDaYoungan experienced this firsthand as his fame grew and the target on his back got bigger. When asked about that hypnotized with hatred phenomenon that Boozy described, JayDaYoungan's response showed he understood exactly what was happening.
That's 1,000% true. I'm not gonna say 100, I mean 1,000. Like,
he elaborated on how success breeds jealousy in your own neighborhood.
This is not right, but it's true. Like, when you in your city and you really just starting to come up, it's envy. Everybody really envy you.
This wasn't paranoia talking. This was the lived experience of a young black man who was watching his relationships deteriorate as his bank account grew. The same people who used to be his day ones were now looking at him sideways, mad that he was eating while they were still struggling. But JayDaYoungan's problems went way deeper than just jealous friends and family. His legal troubles were stacking up like a house of cards, and each new case brought more heat from the law and more enemies from the streets. Between 2019 and 2022, Shorty caught multiple cases including accessory to murder, domestic violence, drug possession, and gun charges. This wasn't just bad luck or being in the wrong place at the wrong time. This was a pattern of behavior that showed JayDaYoungan couldn't stay out of trouble no matter how successful his music career became. The most serious case involved a deadly shooting at a trail ride in Roseland, Louisiana on August 8, 2020, where a 21-year-old mother named Zion Hutcherson got killed. This wasn't no simple shooting. This was a gang war that involved AR-15s and armor-piercing bullets, leaving the scene looking like a battle eld. JayDaYoungan got arrested on September 16, 2021 for accessory to second-degree murder and obstruction of justice in connection with this incident. The evidence against him included a music video Elamed just 2 days before the shooting, showing him with other suspects, ashing weapons, and featuring convicted felons. This trail ride shooting was part of an ongoing beef between La Familia from Hammond and Ponchatoula and the Purple City Boys from Northern Tangipahoa Parish. This wasn't just some local neighborhood drama. This was organized criminal activity with bodies dropping and major money involved. JayDaYoungan made bond for $175,000, but that legal cloud hanging over his head was like a storm that just kept getting darker. Being out on bond for accessory to murder while trying to maintain a rap career is a dangerous balancing act that few people can manage without eventually falling O. His association with the 23 gang made everything even more complicated. Federal authorities describe this as a criminal organization involved in drug tracking, murder, and other serious crimes in Bogalusa since 2017. This wasn't just his crew or his boys from the neighborhood. According to the feds, this was a legitimate criminal enterprise with JayDaYoungan as one of its most high-pro members. As 2022 rolled around, JayDaYoungan was at a crossroads. His music career was popping O, but his legal troubles were mounting. His enemies were multiplying, but he was still stuck in the same small town where everybody knew where to and him. The streets that had given him his authentic voice were now demanding payment, and the price they wanted was his life. Looking back at his interviews from that time period, you can hear the fatalism in his voice, like he knew what was coming, but felt powerless to stop it. He understood the game he was playing, knew the risks he was taking, but couldn't in a way out of the lifestyle that had made him who he was. Caught in the crossfire when legal heat meets street beef. By 2022, JayDaYoungan was walking a tightrope over a pit of reed, and everybody could see he was about to fall. The young king had legal cases stacked up like dirty dishes, street beef with multiple crews, and enemies who were just waiting for the right moment to catch him slipping. What happened on July 27th wasn't random. It was the inevitable result of years of conics, betrayals, and dangerous associations that Nally caught up with him. Let's keep it 100 about JayDaYoungan's legal situation. Shorty was in deep with the system, and every case he caught just made his situation situation worse. We ain't talking about petty charges or misdemeanors. This was serious federal and state time that could have buried him under the jail if he got convicted. The accessory to murder charge from that trail ride shooting was hanging over his head like a sword. That August 8, 2020 incident in Roseland wasn't just some beef between individual people. It was a full-scale gang war between La Familia and the Purple City Boys that left 21-year-old Zion Hutcherson dead and multiple others wounded. When they found dozens of shell casings from AR-15s and armor-piercing bullets at the scene, you know this wasn't no regular street shooting. This was military-level warfare. But let me tell you about the type of shit JayDaYoungan was experiencing as his fame grew and his problems multiplied. When DJ Vlad asked him about the bullshit he was dealing with once he started getting popular, his response showed just how overwhelming it all became.
How much did you experience once you started to get popping?
Buku. From old friends to
He continued explaining how money really did bring more problems.
it was me, like the instantly came. When they said more money, more problems, they meant that shit. I started experiencing all type of.
When pressed about what specific incident stood out, JayDaYoungan's response showed how overwhelming the situation had become.
I couldn't even just pinpoint it because it's so much of it. Like, if I say this later, I'll be like, damn, I should have said that.
This shows that JayDaYoungan wasn't just dealing with one or two problems, he was getting hit from every angle, and the stress was clearly getting to him. JayDaYoungan got hemmed up on September 16, 2021, for accessory to second-degree murder and obstruction of justice, and the evidence against him was solid. They had him on camera in a music video LM just 2 days before the shooting, posted up with the same cats who ended up being the triggers, showing old weapons and acting like they was ready for war. But that wasn't even his only case. In February 2020, he got arrested in Houston for allegedly putting hands on a pregnant woman, and when the police came to get him, they found him hiding in an attic like he was on the run. During that arrest, they seized $24,000 in cash, pills, lean, weed, and multiple rearms, adding drug and weapons charges to his growing list of problems. Then in October 2020, he caught another domestic violence case in Georgia for allegedly attacking a woman he was living with, leaving visible marks and bruises on her. This arrest also revealed fugitive warrants from his previous cases in Texas, showing that his legal troubles were following him everywhere he went. But his legal troubles were just one piece of a much bigger and more deadly puzzle. JayDaYoungan's association with the 23 gang was what really put him in the crosshairs of federal law enforcement and rival crews who saw him as a high-value target. The feds described the 23 gang as a criminal organization involved in drug tracking, murder, and other serious crimes in Bogalusa since 2017. This wasn't just his homeboys from the neighborhood or his rap crew. According to federal prosecutors, this was an organized criminal enterprise with JayDaYoungan as one of its most visible and valuable members. The 23 gang's connections went even deeper. Another member, Tyler Reddit, who was alliated with the 1400 gang, connected to the 23 gang, got arrested in December 2022 on drug and rearm charges. When they searched his phone, they found Instagram messages about JayDaYoungan's death and photos with guns and drugs, showing how interconnected all these criminal networks were. The violence surrounding JayDaYoungan's crew wasn't just about legal troubles. People were dying left and right. In June 2023, Tommy Diamond, another 23 gang alias, was accused of murdering 18-year-old Calvin Felton. When the police tried to arrest him, Diamond took himself out with a self-inflicted gunshot wound during a standoff. Diamond was also connected to that 2020 trail ride shooting, showing how all these violent incidents were connected through the same criminal network. But JayDaYoungan's problems weren't just with the law. His beef with other rappers, particularly Foolio from Jacksonville, had escalated to a level that was genuinely dangerous for everyone involved. The JayDaYoungan Foolio beef was rooted in gang politics and personal disrespect. Foolio accused JayDaYoungan of choosing sides with his enemies and dissing his dead friends in songs, which in street culture is considered one of the most disrespectful things you can do. JayDaYoungan's collaboration with Youngeen Ace, who was Foolio's biggest enemy, made the situation even more volatile. When JayDaYoungan got murdered, Foolio's reaction was straight up disrespectful and showed just how deep their beef had gotten. He posted mocking comments on Instagram like, "Rip JayDaYoungan, you will be missed LOL," and wrote, "Dude used to diss me just to be cool with the ops, even got them boys tatted, now look." On Instagram Live, Foolio doubled down on his disrespect, saying, "Now you dissing me in songs, saying F my dead homeboys, this and that. How I'ma feel? I'm supposed to sit back, be quiet, don't say nothing? If it was me on the other end, an asterisk, 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 A would have done the same thing." This type of public disrespect toward a murder victim showed just how toxic these rap beefs had become. The beef with Foolio was particularly dangerous because it involved real street politics and gang allegations that went way beyond just rap music. When you're dissing someone's dead friends and choosing sides in gang wars, you're not just making music anymore. You're actively participating in conics that can get you killed. JayDaYoungan's collaboration with Youngin Ace also brought additional heat. Ace had survived his own mass shooting in Jacksonville on June 5th, 2018, where 3 of his friends were killed and he took 8 bullets. The trauma from that incident created a bond between the two rappers, but it also meant that JayDaYoungan inherited Ace's enemies and became a target in conics he wasn't even originally part of.
21, man, does it just, you know, you got all the success and then you got all the tragedy.
Yeah.
You've lost how many blood brothers now through violence?
I lost one blood brother, but my blood brother was like my closest brother to me though.
The shared trauma and violence created deep bonds between these artists, but it also meant that their beefs and enemies became interconnected in ways that multiplied the danger for everyone involved. By associating with Ace, JayDaYoungan wasn't just gaining a collaborator, he was inheriting a whole set of problems and enemies that would eventually contribute to his death. The months leading up to JayDaYoungan's murder were lit with warning signs that everybody could see, but nobody seemed able to prevent. Social media activist Charleston White, who claimed to have inside knowledge of the situation, revealed just how vulnerable JayDaYoungan really was.
He was on a leg monitor, and so I'm just gonna give some game to the young homie. Whenever you out on bond and you get a leg monitor put on you, a GPS monitoring system, your records become public. So people can Google your address where that box is.
This revelation is absolutely chilling. JayDaYoungan wasn't just a sitting duck. He was a sitting duck whose exact location was publicly available to anyone with internet access. His legal troubles had essentially painted a bullseye on his back and provided his enemies with a GPS coordinate to end him. Charleston White continued with an observation that proved to be tragically accurate.
He knew something was coming. He could feel it. There's always warning before destruction. Very few places like Miami where the sky is clear and you look up and all of a sudden rain come down.
According to Charleston White, JayDaYoungan was counting down the days until he could leave Bogalusa.
He was waiting, he had 2 weeks. He had 2 weeks before his transfer would go come through, before he could leave his city. He was on a leg monitor.
All the warning signs were there. The paranoia, the increased security, the desperate attempts to get permission to leave town. JayDaYoungan and everyone around him knew that something bad was about to happen. But knowledge isn't always enough to save your life, especially when you're dealing with enemies who are more organized, more motivated, and more ruthless than you are. No justice, no peace. When the streets go silent and the system fails. Before we dive into the aftermath and the investigation, let's remember what JayDaYoungan himself knew about the dangers he was facing. In one of his NAL interviews, when asked about living in Bogalusa despite his success, his response showed he understood the risks but felt trapped by his circumstances.
Right. Do you still live in Bogalusa, or did you move?
I still live in Bogalusa right now, but
when told he should consider leaving because he was bigger than his hometown, JayDaYoungan's response was telling.
Man, I think you're bigger than Bogalusa at this point.
Right, and everybody been telling me that.
This shows that people close to JayDaYoungan, including industry professionals, were warning him about the dangers of staying in his hometown. But like so many young artists caught between loyalty to their roots and their own safety, he struggled to make that clean break. The pressures JayDaYoungan was facing weren't just about street beef or legal troubles. They were about the fundamental contradiction of being a successful rapper who couldn't escape the very circumstances that made his music authentic. As he explained about the problems that came with fame.
And it's sad to say, but it's the truth. He said it right. You move or you die, or you go to jail, because you're gonna have to put yourself in a position where you're gonna crash out, or you just gonna die.
This wasn't just rap bravado. This was a young man who understood exactly what his options were, and none of them were good. He could run and lose his credibility, stay and risk death, or crash out and end up in prison. In the end, he chose to stay, and it cost him everything. The shooting itself was executed with military precision. JayDaYoungan got rushed to Our Lady of the Angels Hospital, where he died from at least 8 gunshot wounds, while his father, Kenyatta Scott Sr., survived being shot twice in the arm while trying to return and protect his son. The crime scene looked like something out of a war zone. Multiple shooters, coordinated attack, executed in broad daylight like they didn't give a damn who saw them. But here's where this story gets really fucked up. Within hours of JayDaYoungan JayDaYoungan's murder, Bogalusa turned into the Wild West. That same night, 2 more shootings happened in the area, with one near Marshall Richardson and Ott Roads where somebody lit up an SUV, and another near the hospital where they shot up a house. No injuries were reported in these incidents, but the message was clear. The streets were about to get even more bloody. The police said these additional shootings were connected to JayDaYoungan's murder, probably retaliation attempts as Deerent crews started choosing sides and settling scores. But here's the kicker. While they could connect these shootings to each other, they still can't seem to connect any suspects to the actual murder that started it all. Charleston White's analysis of the situation proved to be eerily prophetic about what would happen after JayDaYoungan's death.
I started looking at the home and said, man, maybe jail is the best thing for a lot of people. Maybe prison is a proper place for a lot of young people because it's become a good tool for God.
He continued with an observation that hit Deerent after JayDaYoungan's murder.
And at least go to prison, do 15 years, come home, and live again. We're not burying old people. We ain't going to OG funerals.
The investigation that followed was massive in scope, but embarrassingly limited in results. Despite having multiple witnesses, physical evidence, and what appeared to be a planned assassination carried out in broad daylight, law enforcement has completely failed to bring anyone to justice for JayDaYoungan's murder. The Bogalusa Police Department, state investigators, and federal agencies have all been involved, but after more than 2 years, they still ain't got nobody locked up for pulling them triggers. The hip-hop community's reaction to JayDaYoungan's death was immediate and intense, but it also revealed the deep divisions and ongoing beefs that had contributed to the tragedy in the RS place. Some artists showed genuine love and respect, while others continued the toxic cycle of disrespect even after death. Youngin Ace, despite having an unresolved argument with JayDaYoungan before his death, was genuinely fucked up about losing his collaborator and friend. On July 27th, 2022, he posted a heartfelt tribute expressing regret about their falling out. "I wasn't even gone come post brudder cause this shit been eating me in the inside cause we wasn't seeing eye to eye about some shit we could have rekindled." Ace's pain was real as he continued. "I wanted to call you so bad brudder, it was just our pride in the way, dog. We was better than that shit we was going through shit was so little damn la bruta." This response showed the human side of these rap relationships. Behind all the street politics and gang allegations, these were young men who genuinely cared about each other. In an interview before JayDaYoungan's death, Youngin Ace had talked about the constant threat of violence that comes with their lifestyle. When discussing a line from his song about having a price on his head, his response was chillingly matter of fact.
Do you feel there's a price on your head?
That's life, man. That's
Just life.
He continued with a resignation that showed how normalized violence had become in their world.
Yeah, man, that shit be like that. I ain't worried about shit though. I ain't really worried about shit.
Boozy Badass, the Louisiana legend who had worked with JayDaYoungan, paid his respects by calling him a Louisiana legend and acknowledging his impact on the state's rap scene. Coming from someone with Boozy's status and reputation, this was major recognition of JayDaYoungan's contributions to Southern hip-hop. But not everybody showed that same level of respect. The ongoing feud with Foolio continued even after JayDaYoungan's death, with Foolio posting disrespectful comments and trying to justify his callousness. This type of behavior drew major backlash from fans and other artists who felt like there should be some lines you don't cross, even in hip-hop beef. The irony is that Foolio himself would later become another victim of the same type of violence that claimed JayDaYoungan. On June 23, 2024, Foolio was killed in Tampa, Florida during his 26th birthday celebration, proving that this cycle of violence doesn't discriminate between who started what or who was right or wrong. Even more bizarre, after Foolio's death, his Instagram account kept posting weird content, including interactions with Youngin Ace and strange references to voodoo and being a demigod. By August 5th, 2024, Foolio's mother had to take over the account and clarify that someone else had been accessing it with his password. The whole situation showed how these beefs and connects continue even after death, with people using social media to keep the drama going. Charleston White's earlier observation about the cyclical nature of this violence has proven to be prophetic.
We ain't going to OG funerals. We ain't going to grandmama funerals. We watching young die. More than before than ever. And it's young killing young.
This cycle shows no signs of slowing down. If anything, it's getting more violent and more public, with social media amplifying every slight and turning minor beefs into life or death connects. JayDaYoungan's death was just one link in a chain of violence that stretches back years and continues to claim new victims regularly. If you enjoyed watching this video, then go ahead and click on any of the cards on your screen for more.